Hello everyone, I am Sanjay Gupta. I welcome you on Sanjay Gupta Tech School. Today is part 2 of Lightning Web Component. Yesterday I gave you a little bit insight about Lightning Web Component. So today we'll discuss a few more things. So this is day 79 of this Salesforce Learning Bootcamp, and I just welcome everybody, those who are watching it live. And again, these live sessions I am doing so that if you have any doubt and you want to discuss, so you can ask questions, right? So there is a playlist already available on my YouTube channel, which is related to Lightning Web Component. So what you can do, you can just go through that playlist, and that playlist link is already available in this session tracker. So people are asking these sessions are same which are available in that playlist. So it is kind of same, but if you go through the playlist and if you have any doubt and that doubt you want to discuss with me live, so it will be fruitful for you. And if you don't have any knowledge related to Lightning Web Component and you just want to follow these live sessions, then also these live sessions will be fruitful for you. Okay. So moving forward, those who have joined any session on this YouTube channel for the first time, and if you want to know about me, so this slide will let you know like what I'm doing and what I have done so far. So do consistent practice. I know this year is very low in terms of hiring. So utilize this time, do regular practice. If you want to become something in Salesforce ecosystem, you want to do some jobs. So you need to learn a lot, right? And this week I am about to complete 6 months running this bootcamp, and we have completed so much, and so much we need to complete as well. So Salesforce is having lots of things to learn. So until you have any job, so learn things so that whenever there will be an opportunity, so you can just explain whatever knowledge you have and you can get a job. So in this session, I will be explaining something to you related to Lightning Web Component Bundle. And if you want to become part of community where you can discuss things, so just join this Telegram group. Lots of folks are connected and they are discussing their doubts, sharing information. So this group will be fruitful for you because when there will be lots of opportunities available, so in this group, people will be sharing that information with you. All right. So this is week 23. And we are learning Lightning Web Component. So there will be 2 more weeks dedicated for Lightning Web Component. So whatever doubts you will be having, we'll be discussing. And from next month onwards, like few more boot camps I will be starting. So soon I will be sharing that information with you, right? So I found one more guy who is related to some other technology. So that is Appian, and it is very popular. So we'll be having a bootcamp related to that. So we'll share that information with you. So as I told you, there will be lots of bootcamp available on this channel. So just follow and write a review or feedback, whatever you can. So everything, whatever I am doing, it is available free of cost. So before starting, I just want to share one information with you. So the new bootcamp that we are going to start is based on Appian. So Appian is basically a low-code development tool, right? So if you want to explore this tool, what it is, and you want to learn this job-oriented course, so there is a link which is a prerequisite link. So if you go through this link, so you can learn about Appian community, what Appian is, and what kind of things we need to learn. And here you can see all these sessions will be happening live on Sanjay Gupta Tech School YouTube channel. So we'll be sharing all the insight related to Appian, how you will be using that tool. So if someone is interested to learn this tool, so you can just follow the sheet. So in the sheet where Salesforce, C and C++ related sessions are available, so there only you will find Appian related sheets. So you can just explore, and if you are interested, you can join these sessions. Okay, so moving forward, no, Deepak, Appian is not related to Salesforce. Appian is totally separate technology. So this is like Sanjay Gupta Tech School. It is not specific to Salesforce. So I already told you I will be covering a lot of technology. That's why it is a tech school, right? So I will be focusing on lots of technology so that you will be having lots of job opportunities in different technology. So whatever is easy for you to understand, so you can just follow that. So Appian, again I am repeating, Appian is not related to Salesforce. It is a different technology. Okay, so now let's focus on Lightning Web Component bundle. So before implementing any Lightning Web Component, we need to understand its bundle. So in yesterday's session, I showed you a comparison between Lightning Aura and Lightning Web Component. So there was a table like in Lightning Aura component, we have 8 files, but in Lightning Web Component, we have 4 to 5 files. So what those files are and what best practices we need to follow while creating those files, so that we'll be discussing in today's session, right? So whenever you create any Lightning Web component, so a folder is created automatically, right? And before moving forward, again, I want to say if you have any kind of doubt, because this is important with respect to interviews as well. In interviews, many interviews ask these questions which are available here. So just focus on this, like whatever I'm going to explain. And if you have any doubt, you can ask in the chat. So to create a component, first create a folder that bundles your component files, right? So you will be creating a component and its folder will be created automatically. So here I want to show you, like this is my Visual Studio Code where lots of Lightning Web components are available. And if I open any one, so here you can see 3-4 files are available. So this is basically Lightning Web component folder named as child. So whatever component you will be creating, that component will be further known as a folder. And in that folder, you will be having all the files. Okay, so Archana is asking about pending integration sessions. So maybe I will talk to Ankit as per his availability. We'll try to have a few more sessions on integration. So here we have one more point. The folder and its files must have the same name, including capitalization and underscore. So this is the best practice you need to follow, right? So if you have created a component named as my component, so again here you need to focus, like if you have multiple words in your component name, so first word should be small and second word onwards, first letter should be capital. And here are the files. You can see all the file names are starting with that component name, right? So this is best practice that you need to know. Right, so moving forward, so here you can see we have HTML, JS, .xml, CSS and SVG files. So I'm going to explain each and every file in detail so that you can understand. And I can see few questions like SVG can be used as static resources too. Yes. And how search of Google real-time scenarios codes any concept. So like lots of real-time scenario examples you will find in terms of blogs on Google. So you just need to search like Lightning Web Components, real scenarios or scenarios. So you will find lots of examples here. So you can just, so here in these sessions, you will be understanding the basic building blocks, and through those blocks, you will be able to understand those codes, right? Then someone is asking what is test in the component. Yeah, so this is nice question, but here if you see, so this is for testing purpose. So if you want to test whatever code you have implemented, so this file is basically used for that purpose, right? So here you can see run test, debug test, these options are available. So in real time, I never used, to be frank, I never used this file, but it is available to use. So maybe you can explore and find some documentation related to that, and you can explore. But whenever we'll be working on the project, so generally we don't focus much on this, but if it is available, so it must be having some relevant. So I will do some research on this, and in one of the session, like I will try to explain the particular use of this tests whatever is available in this as file, like it is .js. Okay. So let's understand about the best practices for each particular file that we need to follow while implementing Lightning Web Component. Yeah, so for static resource, like Firis provided one solution, yeah, we can import static resources directly as well. So basically, if we talk about LWC folder and file rules, so these are important that you need to follow. So just go through with all these points. So your folder and files must begin with a lowercase letter, must contain only alphanumeric or underscore character, must be unique in the namespace, right? So it should be unique. If you create same component, like if you create multiple components with same name, so you will get an error. You cannot include white spaces, cannot end with an underscore, cannot contain two consecutive underscores, and cannot contain a hyphen, right? So these are some things that you need to remember. Okay. So Sai Venkatesh, I'm not sure about that particular file. So to be frank, I also need to research because I never use that file while creating Lightning Web Components. So I will do some research and will give you proper insight about that file. Okay, so I hope you understood all these best practices, because as a fresher, initially you don't work on a real-time projects in the company. So if you want to know all the best practices, so with these points, you will be able to understand those. And whenever you create any component, so just follow all these best practices. Okay. Now, next is camel case and kebab case, right? So this also we need to understand in detail. So here you can see 3 points are mentioned. So Lightning Web Components match web standards wherever possible. So the HTML standard requires that custom element names contain a hyphen. So since all Lightning Web Components have a namespace that's separated from the folder name by a hyphen, component names meet the HTML standard. So basically what HTML standard requires, like whenever we are using any component, so we need to use it like this. So at bottom right corner, you can see if your component name is visit, and if you want to use that component, so you need to write c-visit, right? So this is basically known as kebab case. Okay. So what we need to do. So if I move to next slide, so here you will have proper explanation to this thing. So however, the Salesforce platform doesn't allow hyphens in the component folder or file name. So right now, like in previous slide we saw, we cannot use hyphen while creating any component. So whenever you are creating any component, you cannot use hyphen, right? So what if a component's name has more than one word, like my component? So you cannot name the folder and file name like my hyphen component. So this we cannot do. But if you want to use that component into any other component, then you need to use this hyphen, right? So basically component names that you are providing, they are following camel case. So use camel case to name your component like this way, my component, and camel case component folder names map to kebab case. So in kebab case, we generally use this hyphen, right? So in markup, to reference a component with a folder name, my component, you need to use c-my component. Okay. So whenever you are creating component name, so in that case, you need to use camel case. And if you have created a component, then if you want to use that component into another component, so in that case, you will be using kebab case. Right. So Mangesh, there is a way to test Lightning Web Component. So let me show you one thing if you are curious. So we have Lightning Component library. So here you will find a documentation where you can learn about testing. So if you go to this developer guide, so here you have this thing, right? Test Lightning Web Components. So these are the steps that you need to follow if you want to test your Lightning Web Component. right? So you can just go through with these, and you need to install Jest for this, and with the help of this you can test it. So all the steps documentation is written over here, and with the help of this you will be able to test it. I will try to cover as many points as I can, because there is a lot which is available in Salesforce official guide. So I will try whatever I can, and rest I think you can search on Google. So you will be having some more thing. But I will create a proper base for you, so that you know what Lightning component is, what are the best practices, how we can create our beginner level Lightning web components, right? So all these things I will be explaining. So I'm just sharing this link in the chat. So LWC test coverage is not mandate. So it is optional thing. So if you don't write test coverage for LWC, so it is okay. But if you are connecting any Apex file with your Lightning web component, then for that Apex class, testing is mandate, like test coverage should be there. So right now for Lightning web component, for flows, these testing requirements are not mandate. So I just want to know, is there any question related to camel case and kebab case? So if you have understood, so I can move forward. So Deepak, there is only one answer to your question is practice. So you just need to practice a lot. So if you practice a lot, then only you will be able to understand, right? So I know one YouTube channel which is Salesforce Troop. So that guy basically creates some content on specific to Lightning web component. So you can find some resources there. And there is one more folk which is, whose name is Sudhir Kamath, SFDC Saga. So these two folks are creating some content on Lightning web component. So you can search content on Google and practice those things. Okay, so you can follow those two people, and there you will find lots of good stuff related to Lightning web component. Right, so I alone myself won't be able to deliver everything to you. So you need to go through those people who are like having specific implementation scenarios there. So yes, kebab case is case sensitive, and whole Lightning web component is basically case sensitive. So whenever you are implementing anything, so be careful, like it is case sensitive. So HTML is case insensitive, but rest of the things are case sensitive. Right, so just follow case sensitive nature. So every UI component must have an HTML file, and it will be starting with template and ending with /template. And so name should be same with your folder, then .html like this. And this is the syntax, right? So whatever you write in your HTML file, it will be rendered on the UI. Then when a component renders, the template tag is replaced with the name of the component. So it actually replaces itself like this. So for example, in the browser console, my component renders as my, C-my-component. So where C is the default namespace. So a few people are like thinking what namespace is. So namespace is basically a location where all your components reside automatically by default, right? So namespace name is C, right? So whenever you use any component, so you need to use this. In Aura also we use this namespace as C, right? Then we have the HTML specification mandates that tag for custom element components aren't self-closing. In other words, custom element must include separate closing tag. So in HTML, a few elements or tags that we use, for that we don't need to use closing tag. But in Lightning web component, for each and every component, you need to use close tag as well. There should be separate close tag, and you need to open that as well, right? So open and close tag both are must. So this was about HTML file best practices. Now we have JavaScript file, so which is very much important, and whatever business logic you want to implement in your Lightning Web Component, so that you will be writing in your JavaScript file, right? And JavaScript file contains all the business logic, and whenever your component loads on the browser, like it renders on the browser, so this JavaScript code will be available on the client machine on the browser. And if you want to perform any operation with the code that is available in that JavaScript file, so you don't need to interact with server, right? So that's why response time is fast. So the code will be running on the client machine with the help of JavaScript. So that's why it is very useful. And you might be thinking like whether we'll be connecting Apex with Lightning Web Component. So answer will be yes. If you want to interact with your S objects, so in that case, you can connect your Lightning Web Component with S objects, right? So JavaScript file, like every component must have a JavaScript file. If the component renders UI, the JavaScript file defines the HTML element. If the component is a service component or library, the JavaScript file exports functionality for other components to use. This is important. Second point is important. So you can create JavaScript file as a service component as well. So if you are creating a component as a service component, like as a library component, so in that case, whatever functions you have implemented in JavaScript file, you can export that functionality to other components, right? So later in this session, I will discuss how we can create additional JavaScript files and how we can export them to other components. So that is also possible here. And JavaScript file is in Lightning Web Components are ES6 module. So whatever is available latest, it is following that. So by default, everything declared in a module is local. It's scoped to the module, right? So this is brief about JavaScript file. We have few more statements. So to import a class, function or variable declared in a module, use the import statement, right? To allow other code to use a class, function or variable declared in a module, use the export statement, right? So whenever we implement any code, so if I show you the JavaScript file, so here you can see we have import statement, we have export statement. So import means like in LWC module, some functionality is available, we are importing. Now this component will be working as a module, and in this component, if you have created a JavaScript file and you want to export it's any function, right? If you want to export it's any function, so you will be creating it as export, and whatever function you have written, so those function can be imported by any other Lightning Web Component. So that's why we are using import and export keyword here. Right, so next is the JavaScript file follows the naming convention component.js, such as my component.js. So HTML file, JavaScript file, these are created automatically. So for naming convention, you don't need to think or worry much, because whenever you are creating any component, so it will be created automatically. So this is the syntax of JavaScript file. So I think this is very much straightforward. Whatever code you need to write, you will be writing inside the class. Yes, Deepak, usually HTML, JavaScript and .xml files are created automatically. And CSS file we need to create ourselves. So CSS file is not created. So let me just show you if I have any component where CSS file is missing. So here you can see this component, conditional rendering. So here in this component, we have HTML, JavaScript and XML. Here we don't have any CSS file. So what you need to do, you need to right click on new file, and here you will be creating a new file. So I need to write conditional rendering.css. So this way a new file will be created automatically. And if you want to create new JavaScript files, so again right click on this folder and you will be able to add new files here. So this way your component bundle works. So HTML, JavaScript and .xml, these files will be available automatically. Rest of the files, if you need to create them. Then the core module, I think this thing we discussed yesterday as well. So I'm just skipping first line. Then lightning element is a custom wrapper of the standard HTML element. You need to extend lightning element to create a JavaScript class for a lightning web component. You cannot extend any other class to create a lightning web component. So this is part of the syntax because all the HTML related standards are already wrapped with this lightning element. So you just need to extend this only. And the JavaScript file can contain, so it can contain public API via public properties and methods annotated with @API. So in tomorrow's session, I will be discussing more about this @API. Then we can have fields, we can have event handlers, right? So these are basic things which are mentioned here. So we'll be creating lots of variables, lots of functions in JavaScript files so that you can understand how basically it works. Okay, so next is configuration file. So when there is no way to open this Lightning Web component in developer console. So we have this VS Code. Otherwise, you have one more thing like a Lightning Studio. If you install Lightning Studio, there you can open these components. Otherwise, you won't be able to open them in developer console. Raju, generally it depends on the nature of the interview. If it is verbal interview, they won't be asking. But if there is a requirement like you will be having some scenario and you need to implement, then surely they will ask you to write the code. So it totally depends on the interviewer. So next is our configuration file. So we discussed about it yesterday as well. So configuration file basically defines metadata values for the component, including supported targets and the design configuration for Lightning App Builder and Experience Builder. So every component must have a configuration file. This is the naming convention and it should be in your project folder, right? So this is our meta.xml. Okay, so if you have this, so initially, like by default, this is exposed as false. So we need to convert it to true. And then here we need to set the target. Right now here target is Lightning home page. So this component you will be able to use on Lightning home page only. So here we have example as well, like if you want to place it on different pages. So this way you can write home page, record page, app page. But you can specify a single destination, and if you want to add more, so you can add like this target. Then if you type something, so suggestions will be there, and then this way you can close it. So this way anytime you can modify your Lightning Web component. Once you modify anything in the component, so now you need to do one thing, like you need to deploy the modified things. So I just modified this meta.xml. So I have two options. Either I can deploy this file only through this deploy source to org option. If I click on it, so whatever changes I have done, it will be deployed automatically to the org. And if you have done changes into multiple files, so instead of deploying them separately, you can right click on this folder and then you can select deploy source to org. Okay, so this is the thing. If you modify anything, you need to deploy. Okay, so yeah, people are discussing in chat, so that is very good. So Deepak, if you have any extension that you are using, so please share with Vinay so that he can use as well. Okay, so next is CSS file. It is straightforward. So it won't be available by default. You need to create it. So a component can include a CSS file. Use standard CSS syntax to style Lightning Web components. To style a component, create a style sheet in the component bundle with the same name as the component. If the component is called my component, the style sheet should be like my component.css. So the way I created for you like few minutes back, right? So this way you will be able to write the code. So I think I have one component. So here we have this CSS file. So here basically we are importing CSS library, and here it is. So this way you can write the code. Okay, so basically here we created the library, and uh, uh, in this component we are importing that library. So this is also possible. So this is external CSS that we are importing here in this. So this is the syntax, right? Next is SVG file, which is also important for you to understand. So a component can include an SVG resource to use as a custom icon in Lightning App Builder and Experience Builder. So to include an SVG resource as a custom icon for your component, so you can add it to your components folder. It must be named like similar way you are creating other files. If the component is called my component, so its name should be my component.svg, and you can have only one SVG per folder. So basically if you want to have custom icon, then only generally we prefer it. And for static resources, like someone like Firas shared one suggestion, like we can have static resources imported. So that is, I think, easiest way to use the static resources. Then next is how we can create additional JavaScript files. So this is also important. So in Aura component, other than controller, we have helper. But here in this Lightning Web component, if you want to create helper files and you want to reuse the code, so this way you can create your component. So here we have HTML file, JavaScript file, XML file, then CSS file, then we have .js, right? So these are additional JavaScript files. Okay, so you need to use export function and variables in the JavaScript file so that they can be imported by the component's main JavaScript file, right? So whenever you will be creating these JavaScript file, you need to use export keyword before the methods or functions. Then here you can see how we can import JavaScript function from current folder. So if you see this one, so here in the same folder, my component, you have additional JavaScript file like some utils or some more utils. So if you want to use the code which is written inside which is written inside some utils or some more utils, so what you need to do, you need to apply this. You need to write import statement, then this is the name of the function, and from then /some utils. So if your file is available in the same component, then you need to import it like this. And suppose your function or JavaScript file is available in any other Lightning Web component, so in that case you will be using this C/. So C/ means in the complete C namespace, wherever this file is available, so that from that file this some function will be imported and you will be able to use it. Okay. So Sai Venkatesh, like this is a complete folder. So that folder will be modified, and folders like files are part of folder. So like everything will be having the modified date. So generally that modified date will be available with folder itself. Okay, so next is what is API version here? Does component will work if API changes with release? Yeah. So Deepak, that component will be working. So right now here you can see the version is 55, and if you have the latest version, so if you create new Lightning component, so latest version will be there automatically. And right now, like greater than 20 versions are supported, so that versions will be supported, and if particular version if you're using and if that is not supported, so you need to upgrade that. So Mangesh, we like if you add multiple HTML, so that will be a problem because only one HTML would be able to rendered on the UI. So HTML will be one and CSS will also be one. But we can have more than one CSS, but try to keep only one CSS file. So Deepak, I will think upon this to create a Git repo where I can provide all the codes. Actually, I am having less time because I am preparing everything and having full-time job as well. So we'll see if I able to create that. Otherwise, we'll share the codes in the practice sheet. We'll paste all the codes there. So yeah, this is nice question. Lingaraju asked the good question, how to differentiate main JavaScript and secondary JavaScript. So this is very good question, but for this I need to go back. So if you want to identify the main JavaScript file, so main JavaScript file will be having the same name as your component, and additional JavaScript file will be having the different names. So this way you will be able to identify. Yes, Vinay, we can create a global CSS as well. So I already showed this to you. So if you see this component, so here I am importing this CSS lib, and the CSS lib is basically here. CSS lib, yeah, this one. So this is a support component, and in this component we have only CSS and XML. We don't have any HTML and JavaScript, so it is global. You can say external CSS. This you can include in any component. So here we have imported it like this. If you want to import this CSS lib in any other component, so that is also possible. So I hope I am able to answer your question, Vinay. Yes, so Deepak answered it right. I already answered it. HTML should be one, and rest of the file like meta.xml should also be one, and JavaScript and CSS we can have multiple, but try to keep only one CSS. If you have lots of code, then you can try to create another. Okay, so now moving to one more thing, that is namespace. So you need to know about namespace. So to reference your own component, always code with the default namespace, that is C. So you see regardless of where the code is running in an org, and with or without a namespace in a managed or unmanaged package, right? So if you have created any component and if you want to use it into another component, so here you can see we have this contact tile component. So this is a custom component that is created, and if you want to use this component into another component, so you need to write it like this: c-contact-tile. So this way it can be referenced into another component. Okay, so these are the basic things that you should know whenever you create any Lightning Web Component bundle. So this way we use external files. Okay, so I hope I am able to answer your basic questions, those who were having. And if you have more questions, you can ask. So this is it for today, and tomorrow we'll cover few more things. So I'm keeping all the sessions short so that day by day you can learn something new. And like self-study is very difficult, so that's why I am seeing a huge response on this bootcamp, because this bootcamp is giving you a direction, like daily you are having sessions. So I am there and you are watching the session, so it gives you a proper schedule. So I hope with this 6 months you are able to maintain a schedule, and in future also sessions will be happening every week. So I will try to share all the knowledge which I have, and I have few more folks those who are working in industry, they are ready to share their experiences. So soon you will be having deployment related sessions, QA related sessions. So after 2 weeks, like once LWC will be completed, so we will be having those sessions. So after LWC, like most of the sessions will be delivered by other industry people, but they will be delivering the content as per the format which I designed. So they will be delivering the content in slow pace, proper explanation, demonstrations will be there. So Deepak, I work as a trainer and developer, and I'm working with an architect, so I'm learning architect things as well. So Mangesh, yeah, this question is already asked. So I will create something on this, like what is the use of that test. So we'll explain you. Yes, Archana, I am searching someone who can explain MuleSoft. Unfortunately, right now I am not able to have someone for MuleSoft, but surely, like soon I will be free with the session, so I will hunt for experts. So MuleSoft, Tableau, so these are in my radar. So soon I will be having someone who will be delivering content on those as well. Okay, so today's session was fruitful. I can see lots of questions were there, and people are asking basic questions, and those who are joining and those who will be watching the recording. So with the help of these questions, they will be able to understand the basic building blocks. And these sessions are targeted to fresh audience, those who have no experience at all. So I hope you are enjoying these sessions, and you are having proper basic knowledge to start with particular things. And for experienced folks, like if you have never worked on LWC, but you know, so these sessions will be a refresher. So VV Babu is asking the question. So I think these salary related questions, if you can ask separately on Telegram, so I would be happy to answer. I won't be able to say anything on this public platform because it depends on your skill set. So I will first ask like what skill set you have. Accordingly, I will guide you. So I'm doing career counseling as well. So if you need something, so you can reach out to me on Telegram. And whenever you reach out, so give your basic bio, like what you did, what experience you have, what skill set you have, so that it would be easy for me to review your profile, and accordingly I will reply back. So you can ask questions on LinkedIn, Telegram, wherever you want, and ask questions in DMs. So it will be easy for me to track. Yes, Moshin, after completion of these basic things, I will be targeting on advanced things. So it will take some time because like I'm doing lots of stuff. So once I will be free from session delivery, so I just need to search those folks who are expert in different areas. So surely I will do. Yes, when a CPQ is also good thing to learn. Yes, Amicent, we'll be discussing about parent to child event communication, child to parent event communication for sure. So Leotech, this thing I heard for the first time. Altrix, I don't know what it is. Yeah, CPQ, Akshay, CPQ Bootcamp. Yeah, I am searching like Ankit, who delivered sessions on integration. He is learning CPQ. So if he is ready, then he will be delivering. Otherwise, I will try to have someone from industry who is expert in CPQ. Yes, Rao Venkat, we'll be learning lifecycle hooks as well in LWC sessions. Okay, if you have any more questions, please ask. Otherwise, I'm going to end this session. And tomorrow we'll be discussing about decorators, which are very much important in LWC. And I will explain one proper Lightning Web component as well, where we'll be having HTML, CSS, JavaScript related code. So we'll discuss, and if you will be having any doubt, you can ask. And as a prerequisite, like on Study Salesforce, I have provided 25 videos. So those are related to Lightning Web Component. If you want to be ahead from me, so you can go through, and in the session you can directly ask the questions. Right, so everything is already available. So I am just doing a refresher here. So if you have not gone through, you can join the live sessions. If you have gone through, you can join the live sessions to ask your doubts. Right, so in both the ways, these live sessions will be fruitful for you. Right, so all these things which are available here, and beyond this, so right now here you can see 23 sessions are available, but in these live sessions I will be covering few more things which are not available here. Yes, Akshay, I am searching someone who can explain CPQ, because CPQ is very vast, and I don't have much expertise on that. I know, but I don't have much expertise. So I will try to have someone who have created some content around that. Okay, so this is it for today. See you tomorrow same time with something new. Thank you. Bye.